What's going on, guys? So this is part 2 to the 2-part series that I started with the Spider-Man PS4 suits. Now, if you haven't watched part 1, don't sweat it. I'll go ahead and leave the link down in the description for you, and you can check it out from there. That being said, y'all, let's go ahead and kick off this countdown with number 10, the Spider-Man Noir suit. Now, this is the Spider-Man from an alternate universe where Peter ends up getting bit during the Great Depression. Now, I want to start off by saying that I really do enjoy his character, but I'm not really feeling this version of his costume. I like his costume the way it's portrayed in the Into the Spider-Verse movie, where he's wearing his signature trench coat and fedora. Without them on, to me, he just doesn't seem as broody and mysterious like he's supposed to be. But of course, this is a minor issue with his costume, which is why it's not any higher than number 10 on my list. Next up is the negative suit. Now, this is obviously just a negative palette swap of the advanced suit. Now, the main reason why I have this on my list is not because I just think it's ugly. I think every suit on this list is ugly, but because of the lack of its presence in the story mode. And what I mean by that is Mr. Negative is a staple villain in this game, and whenever he grabs you, you manage to come under his influence. Now, he does this to Spidey a couple times in the game, yet nothing happens to the suit. Spider-Man, every time he's grabbed, has to fight off against that influence. So, of course, you can imagine that's a really high tension scene. And I think that they missed a great opportunity to add tension to those scenes by making us play in this suit. Next up is the Spider Armor Mark II. This is a bulletproof suit developed by Peter in the main timeline to compensate for the temporary loss of his spider sense. The reason why I put this costume on my list is because I think the Golden Spider just takes up too much space on the costume, and I also don't like the lack of spider lenses that we're used to seeing with many of the other Spider-Man costumes. However, I want to say that compared to the other costumes on this list, this one actually makes sense of why it's in the game. And I say that because this is the second out of the 4 spider armors that we get to play with in the game. Next up is the Secret War suit. Now, this is not to be confused with the comic book with the same name in which Spider-Man gets the black suit for the first time. This is a different comic book with the same name, but instead it's led by head writer Brian Michael Bendis. And in this comic book storyline, Spider-Man is recruited by Nick Fury, and along with Daredevil, Wolverine, and a couple other blockbuster Marvel superheroes, in order to go to Latveria and overthrow the government. Now, my main problem with this suit is the eyesore that is the blue spider. Sure, it has some really cool looking red webbing. Sure, it has the exact lenses that I was complaining the Mark II suit didn't have, but it's just that blue spider really stands out, and I'm not really feeling this look of the costume. My number 6 for this list is the Aikman armor. This is a Spider-Man from an alternate universe that specialized in the medical use of insect venoms. The way his story goes is that his boss's daughter became ill one day, and of course his boss asked for Aaron's help. He heals her, and then later on they become romantically involved because, you know, why not? And from this incident, he decides to rewrite his DNA using that of a genetically altered spider. Now, my main reason for having this costume on the list is not because of the way it looks. In fact, my only problem with it would be the rocket boots that it looks like he has on. But my main issue with this costume being in this game is that out of the 28 Spider-Man costumes that Insomniac decided to give us, 10 of them are spider armors. Now, of course, my reaction was a bit over the top when I found out about it, but I already paid for the DLC, so what are you gonna do? Now, I don't want to bash the company without giving you guys some costume ideas that I think should be in the upcoming DLC, if we have any. So wait until the end of the video and I'll go ahead and give you my ideas on those. Next up is Spider UK. This is a Spider-Man from an alternate universe known as William Braddock. If it sounds like I'm uninterested, I really am. I can't stand this costume or this character. He basically goes around the multiverse warning Spider-Man of this evil supervillain coming. You know what? It's a whole storyline, man. I'm not gonna go ahead and get into it. I can't stand this costume design. Whoever designed it, this is one of the dumbest Spider-Man costume ideas I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen plenty of them. Like I said earlier, I'm going to be giving you guys a lot more suits that I think should have been in this game. And whose bright idea was it to put Spider UK in this game? You know what? Let's just go ahead and move on, man. Number 4 is the Fear Itself suit. This is this was developed by Tony Stark in the Fear Itself storyline, where many of Marvel's heroes went off to fight in Asgard because, you know, something was going down over there. I didn't even know this suit existed before I bought this game, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. There are 3 reasons why I have this costume on my list. The first would be those gauntlets. The second would be the light shade of blue that the costume is. And finally, it'd be that god-awful neon blue webbing. Other than that, I don't have anything else to say about this costume. To kick off my top 3 worst suits in Spider-Man PS4 is going to be the Spirit Spider. Now, this is obviously what Spider-Man would be if he gained the powers of Ghost Rider. And in terms of his actual design, it makes sense for what they're going for. My only problem is, why is it in this game? I mean, I'm thinking that Insomniac was trying to go for a wow factor, like, oh my goodness, they put this suit in the game, but I think there are plenty of other costumes that just would have been better and should have had the spotlight instead of this costume. And that's why it kicks off my top 3, because it was a waste of a costume slot, in my opinion. So the way I'm going to be tackling number 2 and number 1 is I'm just going to go ahead and give you guys them both at the same time, only because I have the same exact reasons for not liking them. And that's because Insomniac developed both of these suits, and these are the Velocity and the Resilient suit. My problem with it is that I saw what they did with the Advanced suit. It's such an awesome costume. It was one of my top 3 in my top 10 favorites list, and for them to go from that to both of these suits, I'm highly disappointed in them. I wish they would have developed a suit that would have rivaled the Advanced suit and would have made me want to play with that costume even more, but it didn't. And again, it felt like a waste of a costume slot. I mean, if you guys were going to make your own costumes like they did, at least have it, you know, have a good looking design. And the way that they gave us these costumes was kind of weird at first. They gave us Spider-Man Velocity suit in the pre-order package, and my thoughts on that was, okay, I'm gonna play with Spider-Punk, I'm gonna play with the Infinity War armor, but this costume is just, it looked weird. I get it, this is something that is Insomniac's, they can trademark this costume, but it's not a good trademark costume. And the Resilient suit was part of the first DLC pack, and that was just, the only good thing about that DLC pack, in my opinion, was the Scarlet Spider suit that we got. And they just, again, they missed the mark, man, like they did with so many suits on this list. I just wish that in the future, if they end up giving us even more DLC, I hope that they give us costumes that are worth giving. You know, costumes that I would have really loved to see in place of these costumes. What you see on your screen now are a couple of suits that I picked that I would love to see in the future Spider-Man PS4 DLC. Now, to my knowledge, there's a rumor going around that the Fantastic Four may be in a future Spider-Man PS4 DLC, and if that's the case, then I know almost for a fact that we're going to be able to see the Future Foundation suit in this game. With that being said, guys, if there's anything that you disagree with in this video or you happen to agree with, let me know down in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and when you do subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell to know whenever I upload. Thank you for watching my video. God bless.